sports listeners. I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes. All right, we weathered the rain again. I don't know what the forecast is for the future, but it's in Santa Barbara. That's where you're at right now. We are actually being aired all over the world. I'm so excited. Every week I look, I see different countries tuning in. I'm so thankful. Thank you to Jeremiah Ferris, Eternity Ready Radio, for hosting us weekly. We're also on AM 1290, FM 96.9 Tuesday, every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. And Dr. D, where else are we on Tuesday?
Well, we're all over the internet as far as you mentioned, AM and FM, AM 1290, FM 96.9. We're also on AM 1290, KZSB.com, where we stream live at those times. And we're also on so many different locations like SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many of the other podcasting outlets. So people can basically see and hear us all over the internet worldwide, as well as locally here.
We broadcast at 8 Tuesday night, 8 Saturday morning, and 6 Sunday. So we're there, we're everywhere. And what we like to do is start off every week with a county recap of our sports, our teen athletes, and we've got our teen co-hosts in the house. Let's hit it off. Santa Barbara High School. Don, senior. Romy Davies, tell me what's going on at Santa Barbara.
Thank you, Erica, and hello, everyone. This is Romy Davies, Santa Barbara High School senior, reporting back from Santa Barbara, California, with this week's Espidon Sports Recap, which goes out to Joy in Yucaipa. In track and field news, senior Annie Connect set a Ventura Invitational meet record Friday night, winning the distance carnival 1,600 meters in a personal best. Coach Olivia Perdices said that it was a great performance and that Annie is relatively new to being a distance runner and there's still a lot of upside as she learns the event. Andres Dibdahl ran an 8-second lifetime best for third place in the 1,600, and at Saturday's Invitational, Davis Flanagan was a double winner for the team, capturing the long jump and doubling back in the triple jump. He was also fourth in the 100 meters, with another personal best. In lacrosse news, the San Marcos and Santa Barbara girls lacrosse teams both placed second in their divisions at the Gold Coast Invitational Saturday. San Marcos in CIF D2/D3 and our team in CIF D3. The girls played hard in the D3 semifinal, 13-8. Then, in a neck-and-neck final, the girls unfortunately lost to Saugus, 10-7. They got lucky at the very end with 3 quick goals, and the clock just ran out for us, Coach Elaine Blessing said. Leading scorers for the weekend for the girls were Daisy Foreman and Ava Howe, and goalie Pepper Marks had 16 saves. In volleyball news, middle Mikey Denver led the way for the boys against a scrappy Pacifica team with 10 kills, 6 blocks, and 2 service aces. The match scores were 25-10, 25-18, 25-15. Luke Zaflato contributed 7 kills, Will Harmon had 5, and Austin Jaimes added 4. Their coach Chad Arneson praised the boys of their passing and defense. Match scores were 25-10, 25-18, and 25-15. Luke Zaflato contributed 7 kills, Will Harmon had 5, and Austin Jaimes added 4. Coach Chad Arneson praised the passing and defense of libero Dana Whitney. That's it for this week's Espidon's recap, and see you next time.
Thank you, Romy. Next up, DP High School, Chargers, Valeria. I'm so excited we get to keep Valeria for a couple more years. Anthony Rodriguez, your uncle, I think is going to be popping in a little bit later on today during the show. So Valeria, talk to me. What's happening over at DP?
Thanks, Erica, and hey everyone, I'm Valeria Tiburcio Romo, back with this week's Charger Recap. Starting off with boys golf, they went over to the Glendora Invitational and competed against 38 teams. They tied for 4th place. Boys baseball played against Pacifica High School. The final score was 3-0. Unfortunately, the Chargers lost. Boys volleyball played against Buena High School and they won all 3 sets. Wyatt Silver led the game with 21 assists, and Nicholas Schultz Clifford had 3 kills and 3 blocks. Moving on to girls lacrosse, they played against Newberry Park. Unfortunately, the Chargers lost the game with a final score of 14-11. Then boys golf won against Ventura with the final score of 449 to 364. Moving on to boys tennis, they played against our crosstown rival Santa Barbara. The Chargers beat the Dons with the final score of 16-2. Softball played against Pacifica High School and the final score was 17-0, the Chargers taking the win. Then boys baseball played against Foothill Tech. The final score was 14-3, the Chargers also taking the win. Then going back to boys volleyball, they played against Oxnard High School. The final score was 3-0, the Chargers taking the win. Matthew Wilcox led the game with 9 kills, 3 blocks, 1 dig, and 1 ace. Then boys and girls swim and dive competed against Buena High School. The boys won with the final score of 93-70, and the girls also won with the final score of 99-70. And finally, boys tennis. They played against Rio Mesa with a final score of 15-3, the Chargers taking the win. All the doubles teams won all 9 sets. And as of right now, boys tennis remains undefeated with a league record of 4-0. And that is it for this week's Charger Recap. I'm Valeria Tiburcio Romo, and I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you so much, Valeria. All right. My kids went to Bishop Diego High School, both boys. Got Salda boys graduated there. And Sean Walters is there now. He's a senior. He's amazing. Sean, what's going on? What's the Cardinal life looking like today?
Thank you so much, Erica. This is Bishop Diego High School senior Sean Walters signing on once again to give you the Bishop Diego High School Sports Recap. Starting this week's recap off strong once again with varsity baseball, the Cardinals got a 12-8 non-league win on the road at Fillmore last Monday. Star senior Isaac Avila went 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs and scored 2 runs. Junior Pedro Nunegre also added 4 RBIs and scored 1 run. Great job, guys. They will now play Cabrillo on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Now on to boys volleyball. The Cardinals got a 3-0 sweep win on the road at St. Bonaventure last Tuesday. To no one's surprise, Braylon Caters had 17 kills and John Michael Flint had 10. Congrats, guys. They are now looking ahead as they will face Dunn at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, though, the softball team beat Coastal Christian 11-1 in a non-league home game. Sophomore Anna Fittipaldi went 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs and scored 1 run. Tessa Johansson went 2 for 3 with a home run and 1 RBI. Lauren Weeks also went 3 for 3 with 1 RBI and scored 3 runs. Amazing job, girls. Well, everyone, that's all I've got this week for your Bishop Sports Recap. Thank you so much for listening, and please don't forget to tune in once again next week. This is Sean Walters signing off.
Thank you, Sean. All right. Last but never least, Ambrose Partee, Sammy Schaefer, San Marcos High School Royals. What's going on, guys?
Thanks, Erica. It's Sammy and Ambrose here with your weekly sports update.
Starting off with boys golf, last Thursday, Leo Metzger shot a scorching 6 under 65 to take medalist honors in a 375-404 non-league win over Santa Barbara.
Shams Jahangir Ashad and Jeffrey Forster both carded 73 on the day to help the Royals, because Hudson Hatton paced the Dons with a low score of 74.
It was a beautiful day and the Coomer Country Club is in incredible shape, San Marcos coach Jeff Ashton said. Now moving on to volleyball, our girls beach team beat rivals Santa Barbara 4-1 in our first Channel League girls beach volleyball crosstown duel match last Wednesday at West Beach.
The Royals swept their matches at the 3, 4, and 5 positions.
Our second seed, Josie Gambardella and Alina Staff, rebounded from a first set loss and won the match 21-17, 17-21, and 15-10. Great work, girls.
Moving on to indoor, our boys beat the Dons, sweeping them 25-19, 25-21, and 25-18.
Behind solid ball control and the brilliant setting of senior Hanson Streeter, the Royals had Santa Barbara blockers and back row defenders scrambling all night.
Jack Wilson led the Royals with 13 kills on a .706 hitting percentage.
Luke Walker put away 12 kills on a .667 average.
And Mason Rice had 9 kills to go with a 2.60 serve-receive average out of 3.0.
Great work, boys. Now moving on to baseball.
Last Monday, our boys beat Rio Mesa 2-1 in a Channel League match at home.
Senior Darren Orlando struck out 6 and didn't allow an earned run in 5 innings. Freshmen Landon Johnson and Eric Perez each pitched an inning of relief without permitting an earned run.
The Royals' runs came on an RBI double by Cole Schoenwetter and a run-scoring single by Brad Shigata.
And last Tuesday in the game against Ventura, San Marcos senior Caden Hodina pitched 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and 1 earned run, while striking out 7 in a 10-4 Channel League Road win.
The Royals had 9 hits, led by Patrick Kelly with 3 hits and scoring 3 runs.
And last Thursday, our boys beat Ventura 4-0 in a Channel League match.
Schoenwetter did some damage with his bat, going 3 for 3 with a home run, double, and a single. He had 2 RBIs.
Orlando had an RBI double while Brendan Chicada collected 2 hits. Owen Estabrook and Brad Chicada also added singles, and Mason Pettingill had an RBI.
That's what we have for you this week.
Back to you, Erica.
Thank you all. Okay, we're going to shake things up a little bit. We've got Don Sanders in the house. He's going to be, we're going to switch. I'm looking at them here because we're both on screen. Okay, we're going to do a little switch. Dominique, you're going to be passing the Hugo off to Don Sanders, but what are you going to talk about later on?
I love books and reading, so I'm gonna have a quick conversation about some interesting censorship that is being experimented with publishers coming out of England.
Nice. Well, that's going to affect our teens for sure, and that's nice that you're going to be able to talk about that. And then Don Sanders, in one word, because we don't want to release what the Huga is, but in one word, can you give me one word to describe what you're going to be talking about?
Oh, I'd say human connections.
Human connections. I love it. Okay. Let's bug out. Stay here. We'll be back with Don Sanders after these messages. And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Good morning. And I am covering the Huga, which Dominique has done such a fabulous job with for quite a long time. And she refers to Huga as feelings of coziness, comfiness, and like having a hug, but not actually receiving the physical touch. And I looked up something else about Huga in Danish and Norwegian, which I really liked, a form of everyday togetherness, a pleasant and highly valued everyday experience of safety, equality, personal wholeness, and a spontaneous social flow. The noun Huga includes something nice, cozy, safe, and known, referring to a psychological state. So last night I called Dominique and ran by my notes because I hadn't covered this before. And so I followed her guidance of reading my notes 3 times and then sleeping on it, and then waking up this morning and letting the story tell itself. And so, bam, this morning came in this new element that I hadn't even thought of last night. And it comes from one of those large, powerful looking Hawaiian singers who I think is dead now, who sing like angels.
That is.
There's a young man that's singing, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty of the world through my own eyes. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty of the world through my own eyes. And so he's addressing his dead mother, and he's saying, you used to hold me in the cradle of your arms. You used to comfort me in times like these, and now I need you. Now I need you, and you're gone. I left out a line where he says, you said you'd hold me. Oh, no, never mind that. Never mind that. But in any case, so you get the idea. And so what occurred to me is I've been reading this book by Gabor Mate, The Myth of Normal. And a quick plug for Chaucer's. You can get that in person or online through Chaucer's. Great book. He's talking about 2 key elements for our being able to evolve, grow, and mature into fully functioning, capable adults. One is the quality of vulnerability that we can find attachment with. And as you can imagine, lots can go wrong here because humans take longer to evolve than any other species, from childhood into maturation. And then the other one is The other one is to like, the other one is when you are, well, two things. Sometimes in life you got to put on the gas, other times you need to take a pause. And so in the end, we're hoping to integrate all the things that we've had in terms of experience and to be able to express ourselves fully in the world. And I'll think of that last point in a minute. But so I was thinking about how this affected me and how it translates into how I try to help my daughter as she is on her walk in the world at 23. And like me, there's a Japanese term called kinzoku, meaning very similar in nature. And so she has used physicality as a way of dealing with the enormous chaotic complexity of the world and finding some order in her life. And Dad did a lot of that too. And so I've recently encouraged her through her second half marathon. And she wanted to run the first one under 2 hours, and she did it in an hour and 57 minutes. The second one, she improved 4 minutes on that time, about a minute and 53. And so I know her struggles because we're kind of alike. And she had asked me one time, just about some direction in life kind of question. I said, well, I wish I could tell you that I have this open paved road that I neatly maintain, and that if you just follow this paved path, it will take you to where you want to go. But my experience in life has been kind of like these hills in our local area. They're chaparral. You may think a trail is open, and then you go plowing down it, and all of a sudden you come to a dead end. And unless you have a little pair of hand clippers or a machete, you can't get through there without being torn up and cut. And so if you're lucky enough to get through these things and you get to a clearing, then maybe you can pause and reflect and think, oh, this is a very nice place to be. And so my daughter says, so you're saying I'm going to have to do the machete thing, kind of like, and so I'm like, kind of like, So in his book, Mate talks about, like when I've been in couples and individual therapy, the therapist always says, let's just assume that our parents did the best they could with the tools they had to work with. And in my case, that was a single mother. And so it's not that they didn't love us. It's not that they didn't want to care for us. But sometimes our mothers are under enough stress to where, we need to be vulnerable to be able to receive and learn. And that includes, adult aptitudes and things too. And so if something happens, then we start looking for another way to attach. And then that gets us into all sorts of societal problems and things we've talked about in the show many, many times. And so.
Are you saying we have to use the machete on ourselves sometimes?
Kind of like, but it's like, just like when I thought of that song this morning, I thought, well, I can speak that verse, but if I tried to sing it, I'm going to totally lose it here, because to learn, as I'm finding, we need to be cracked open and we need to be vulnerable. Vulnerability goes hand in hand with being able to learn. And so that the other important point that was eluding me is that creative play is not just a frivolous activity. Mm-hmm. It is a very necessary part of our development. In Finland, up to a certain age, they don't even teach academic subjects. They just encourage play and exercise.
Well,
Can I interrupt you right there, Dawn, and just let you know that as a Waldorf kindergarten teacher, that is what early childhood education was all about, was the importance of play and really helping children, really actually guarding the creative life of the child and the importance of play and of and that we're not even starting to get into the mental realm until first grade. But really, that's what we did. That's what I did for years. Preschool, kindergarten. It's so important, the imagination and play. There's so much in play for the rest, that builds for our whole lives.
Yeah,
Dominique, hold on one second, Don. Dominique wants to say something. Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, our teens forget how important play is because they're so focused on being a great athlete and they're so focused on their schoolwork and everything. This is huge. And to me, that's part of what Hygge is not only creating that nurturing environment, but also encouraging the creativity of play.
Yeah. Alex, that's Alex. This is all you do is play. Everybody, walk with me, baby.
Alex, did you hear?
Alex.
Sorry.
He was playing a game on his phone. I don't know. What were you playing with? Huh?
No, I was actually just thinking, and then I realized I was on mute. I'm sorry, guys. That's all I do is play. And it's fitness. I get to get creative, especially with teens, finding a way to connect with them with fitness. You can't connect with them the same way you do as adults. You gotta really make it fun and exciting. Almost like a jungle gym kind of a thing, and you test them and challenge them in fun and interesting ways. And, because they get bored too. And fitness is a great thing. I've noticed it for mentally one of these children who has a lack of self-esteem, and the confidence that he's been getting with the training with me has been incredible. To see him change and become a confident young little man. He's like 8 years old, 9 years old, but he's still, in the last year, he's changed so much with fitness, mentally getting over anxiety is really what his biggest thing was. And then building that confidence. So yeah, exercise is huge, and you gotta make it fun and creative.
When you said 8 years old, Alex, I'm thinking about little John. When I should drop him off, and Joe, I used to look at you, give you a wink, and I'm like, burn him out. Alex, just burn him out, okay? Because when he gets home, I didn't want to have to put like a little bicycle helmet on him because he just bounced off the walls. Dr. Amy, and then we got to take a break. Talk to me.
Well, no, I was just reflecting on what Alex was saying, and I think adults, myself included, could maybe put a little more play in our exercise, so it's not just for kids.
Once you play when you're a kid, you will do that as an adult instead of being so structured because, your upbringing, the discipline and the focus that you need with gymnastics, I'm not saying you can't play, but I don't know. And then generationally, I think it was just a lot different. I think we were a little bit more serious.
I would love if I could just to circle back one moment to music and to what Don started talking with music is that music is so mathematical. And when we're playing with music, we're playing with math. And we're exploring all sorts of things. When people play music together, they're playing with math, but they don't know it. They're playing with sound. They're playing with each other. The same with, so there's so much that we think we're playing, but we're actually doing so much more.
Nice.
All right, listen, we got the smushy sign, and we've got Richard Ellsworth in the house. He's back. Looking forward to it. Richard, stay here right after these messages.
So
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hi, everyone. This is Richard Ellsworth coming back after a brief hiatus. And I'm coming to you live from Life Chiropractic College West in Hayward, California. And I wanted to share a couple things with you today, and just starting with how I got here. And I think it's really important for each and every one of you to remember as you're going through school and making decisions about your future and the schools that you want to go to and what you want to do as a path, that you don't need to have it all figured out right now. It's really important to go with what you're feeling, go with what you want to do, what you're drawn to, but to understand that might change, and that's okay. And this is coming from a perspective of having traveled an incredibly windy road myself, starting with things that to some extent may seem pretty unrelated, starting with wanting to go to culinary school and learn to cook and kind of express my creativity that way, and then realizing that maybe that wasn't the best fit, and then becoming an anthropologist and working as an archaeologist. And then the pandemic hit, shook a few things up, and I started teaching at the Braille Institute. And then I realized that I could help people best through health. And that took me to chiropractic school. And every single one of these steps turned me into the person that I am today that can do this. Chiropractic school is becoming a doctor, and it's very, very rigorous. And I needed to have that foundation from all of those places, all of the people that I met, the experiences that I had to form me into the person that I am today that can go through this program and will hopefully come out of this program as the best chiropractor I can be. And then I'll be able to come back to Santa Barbara and serve all of you, which I'm really, really excited to do.
Can you imagine he forget? I got it. Okay. First of all, plus the boy knows how to, work in the kitchen. Okay. You're a chef. And I was like, oh my God, you forgot that big piece as well. And then you've also spent a
time
year
in Ireland.
And also
and you're a violinist or fiddler.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you said a few things you left out.
and you speak Gaelic.
Exactly.
Well, Richard, can you briefly explain to teens what chiropractic is? I don't even understand what the word chiropractic means.
Yeah, what's the root? Chiro.
Yeah.
Chiro.
Hands.
Chiropractico.
Yeah, it means hands. It means to practice with your hands.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so chiropractic, it developed out of what? Who created this school?
So chiropractic started with a man named D.D. Palmer. And D.D. Palmer was actually a Reiki practitioner in Canada in the late 1800s. And he came to America and realized that he could help people heal through tonality, through vibration. And there was a deaf man who was a friend of his. And he put an adjustment, right, a cervical and neck adjustment into the man's spine, and he could hear again within seconds.
Wow.
Completely regained his hearing. And chiropractic was born out of that moment on September 18th, 1895.
Do you know my birthday, September 18th?
Are you serious?
I have shivers down my spine.
Why? Because my birthday, September 18th?
No, because
oh my God, I didn't realize.
There you go. I think that was who I was. I was that guy.
Wow. That's crazy.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
On the East Coast, as a kid growing up, my grandparents were into alternative health. And so I would visit a chiropractor rather than visiting an MD. If I was ill, they would take me to a chiropractor. So I grew up with chiropractic my whole life long. Can you explain why it is that the spine is so critical for health?
Yeah, absolutely. So the spine is the centralmost part of our nervous system that's connecting our brain to our body, right? So if you have something going on in your muscles, if you have something going on in your organs, if you have something going on in your skin, all of that is connected to nerves, which are connected directly to your spine. What happens is through life, we get tension in these muscles or problems, pathologies in these organs, and they actually pull on those nerves. They kind of mess with the communication of those nerves to the brain. And in so doing, they actually pull the vertebrae slightly out of alignment. So a very, very traditional chiropractor will actually put movement into the spine. They'll take the vertebra, crack it back into position. You're probably all familiar with that cracking sound. It's called a cavitation.
We
And
called
the
it popcorn.
Yes, exactly. That sort of sounds. There is a slight problem. I shouldn't say a problem, but that particular form of chiropractic is not necessarily the most effective. And the reason being is because it's never about the spine actually being out of place. Which a lot of people, they put the movement into the spine in order to put something back in place. But it's actually about creating a vibration that travels into that region of the spinal cord, shakes things back into place, and allows the body to tap into that innate intelligence that allows the body to reorganize itself and heal.
So I've done things with like an exercise ball, or like you're laying on the ground stretching, and then you feel your body crack. And can you explain what's going on for us when that happens?
Yeah, sure. So typically what's happening is that a muscle is being moved or stretched, a tendon is being moved or stretched slightly past its initial capacity. And that allows it, when you actually release that force, to be able to extend further, to have a little bit more movability. Creating that freedom around the bones in the spine can cause those vertebrae to just shift back into place because there's nothing tugging on them anymore. The problem is that very often that type of thing will go back very quickly, right? So it would be something that you have to do very, very often in order for it to create a stable holding pattern.
Yeah. So this is the importance for teens in sports, where we have the stretching and then we have the aerobic. We have different parts, different components to becoming a really strong athlete.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I would say there was a famous chiropractor who said that the shape, tone, and position of your spine affects the shape, tone, and position of your life.
Wow.
I have found that to be incredibly accurate. Every vertebra in the body corresponds with an emotion or a repressed emotion. If that vertebra is out of place, you're going to be experiencing that in your life. Very much so. You can be an incredibly phenomenal athlete who's getting incredible sleep, who has incredible energy, who's creative on the field, who can go above and beyond. If your spine is flexible, there's mobility, and it's in the right position.
Wow. It's so interesting that our words of speech mimic the spine. Like when we say to someone, "Oh, there's an issue or something," you're a pain in my back, or you're a pain in my neck.
I say C7. That's what I say. That's right. That's right.
Uh-oh.
That's what I do.
That would be lower back.
Oh, whatever.
So how many, I know we don't have much time yet, that I have seen in like gadgets you can buy on Amazon and so forth. I've seen gadgets where it helps people have a straighter back. Do you recommend that people, like if you're doing a lot of computer work or something for kids and you're rolling your shoulders forward, do you ever recommend that maybe people wear a brace or something to help them just be conscious of it? What do you suggest, Richard?
Sometimes you can wear braces for a short amount of time. The thing is to not be wearing them constantly, because the idea in getting the spine to reorganize itself is creating motion in the spine. A brace actually causes the opposite and causes the vertebra to have less motion. In a perfect world, instead of wearing a brace, you'd want to be just kind of bringing your attention to your spine, breathing up your spine, consciously trying to breathe from your tailbone out the top of your head and drawing it up the full length as often as possible. That's a great way to do it. Yoga, stretching, standing desks, anything like that. But even with those, you have to be careful to sit fairly often too, because when you're standing, you put a lot of gravity on pressure on the lower back. So it's really important to be switching up your positioning, right? Switching up your positioning and getting in movement is the ultimate cure for posture and overall health.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Richard.
God, Richard, we love you. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited that you're back and looking forward to the weeks ahead. What you're going to be talking about. Let's see. Right now, let's take a break. All right, great. Thank you. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, every girl, and a man.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Hi, this is Dominique Hackett with Santa Barbara Wellness Center. Don, thank you so much for the hygge. I love the human connectivity and that we need vulnerability and we need playfulness. Oh my God, that's precious. Well, I love to just kind of check in with what's happening in the news, and I am an avid book reader. I was an athlete in high school, but I also picked up just a love of literature. And I was noticing over in England, they have some interesting things going on with some very famous authors. There are publishers that are experimenting with censoring, and I'm going to use the word censoring. They're going to change some books, like, for example, Ron Dahl, one of his most famous books is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? And they're going to change it in order to give it more, change genders to make it more gender neutral, and then take out some other things that some people have complained may be slightly insensitive and so forth. And there is an interesting dialogue and conversation going on with the public about whether we want our authors of the past to have their works changed, or how important it is to keep them, even though there may be something that now we wouldn't express it in that way, because we're all becoming more educated about racism and gender and just so many wonderful ways that we're learning to integrate our community. So I just was going to put it out there that it's interesting, and that people might want to have a conversation with their kids and just get their input. What do they think?
I think that's really interesting, Dominique. I do have to say, in a certain way, like even with taking stories and putting them into video, like there's a Roald Dahl book, James and the Giant Peach. I will never watch the film. I love the book so much, and I have these images in my head. I won't watch that. I won't watch anything from it because I don't want them stolen from me, right? There's something in my mind. So I think there's a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings about certain books and different things, their characters and even the authors, I've heard things about, Roald Dahl and Dr. Seuss, certain authors that you would think they might have been, loved children more or been in a more kindly, but they were actually very strong characters themselves. So they might have some, even though they can't say anything now, they might have some ideas about what would happen with their work as well. Interesting conversation.
Yeah. And when my kids were growing up, I got a book of Grimm's fairy tales that were supposedly the unedited version. And wow, were they gruesome. And so there was the initial conversation about, do you read, gruesome fairy tales to young children? And so it's just I don't have any strong opinion one way or the other. I think it's very interesting. And I think it is something that is great to talk about.
Yeah. This is Christine Marie again. We had talked a lot about that in my teacher training as a Waldorf kindergarten teacher, because I didn't even just read them. I told a lot of the stories, and there were conversations about what is different when someone hears something. These are, stories told around the fire from for a long, long time versus something given somebody through someone else's imagination put on a screen, right? Or even given pictures. So there's a lot of different conversations about that would be interesting to look into and enter into.
Erica, you're reading a history story right now, correct?
No, what am I reading right now to Joy? Skinny dipping? What is it?
But you were reading the Osage about the Osage Indians.
Yeah, it's true, right? So before that, I read two westerns, and then the Osage Indians, which if anybody have not picked it up, I mean, it's an amazing book because the way it was written, it's written in a murder mystery way, because like a whodunit, and it's the birth of the FBI. So it's history based on facts, and it goes up to like 2015, last 100 years, and it's just amazing. Who knew? I just never knew. It was great. But that author, you dummied it down for me, because the last two books I read before that was very
bloody.
Very bloody. I mean, I was having nightmares that I'm in a stampede. Okay, like yelling. Why are you yelling? Because I'm getting run over by bison. So yeah.
So there are what are considered elementary school versions of really important stories to read, because the Osage murders talks about some of what happened to our Native Americans in our early U.S. history that I didn't learn in school. And so these stories are really, really important. But I did give you a slightly censored version of that book because I thought it would be easier for you to read out loud.
Oh, I thought you thought that was my reading level. No, I said to Joy, I said, says it's elementary school. What do you think that means? I go, maybe the other book had bigger words. I don't know.
This is mostly pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This got a lot more pictures. That's funny. That is awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of changes. I mean, I noticed that in art, and it's funny because at first, when I first heard that, when you said that you were going to talk about that topic, I'm like, I don't think that's fair that a person needs to dummy down their work. They should stay with their work and then let the new authors come in if they have a different, more modern, if the times are changing, because then you always have the old classics, right? So then part of me was going that way. But then I go, I looked at what I created last week, and then I looked at what I'm starting this week. You would not say it's the same artist. I mean, I had a friend come over and she goes, "Oh, you're in your dark phase." I mean, you know what I mean? Because I went from pastels and big color and all this kind of stuff. And now I am like back to, it's just whatever I feel like mixing in the back. So, I mean, I guess it's good. I don't know, but maybe I have multiple personalities. I don't know. We'll find out later. I have no idea. Dr. Amy.
Well, I think today, what I think could change tomorrow. But today, what I think is that they probably should be kept the way they were originally written and discussed about how our perspectives and understandings are evolving and what's concerning about them. And this is learning, is having these dialogues.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a teaching moment. I like that.
Yeah, I like the idea. I'm wrestling with it a little bit because an artist is a person. I wouldn't tell Picasso, if you look at the greatest greats of all greats, we're looking at their work now. I don't know if somebody went up to him and said, "Hey, can you dummy it down a little?"
Well, it's not a dumbing down, in my opinion. It's more of reflecting the evolved sensitivity of the current culture, I think is.
Thank you, Dominique. That's what I was going to say.
Well, I don't easier know how it's presented it to the person that's the artist. I mean, you're going to go up there. Can you more reflect the current culture? I mean, is that what was said, or was it said, "Hey, you don't do this, or we're not going to publish your work"?
Well, let me throw one thing in there. And again, not to be insensitive, how far are we going to go? Are we then going to re-record all of the music that is that now we need to make that all gender specific or gender neutral? Are we?
Right.
How far are we going? Are we going to go into the movies and we're going to rewrite the scripts and do overdubbing and so forth? Now, I think it's great that they're doing both versions, and that's wonderful. But like I said, how far are we going to go with this? Because
it's already been done, Dr. D. I was just reading an article. I'm not sure where it was, but they were talking about all of these musical lyrics that have been written over, that people have shifted from songs, that they may be singing other people's songs, or, a Dire Straits song where they were using very derogatory language. So it's very interesting to see that things are being updated and changed. Even the Black Eyed Peas song from Let's Get Retarded to Let's Get It Started. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear you all, but let's put it like this: until it goes up the court system to the Supreme Court, because what we're talking about right now is censorship. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Okay, that's the big ugly word.
Well, we're talking about censorship and sensitivity and respect, and how do you combine all three of those?
Right. So that's why somebody's going to have to take a stand where something just got squashed. Okay. And a lot of times what happens is, like, when we take down things and we try to, like, whether you take down statues or whatever you want to do, it's like you have to have voices on both sides. And then the deal is though, let's face it, you've got the media, which is this gigantic behemoth powerhouse with all the social media wrapped around it. I mean, it is a huge, big uphill force. It would be like what comedy is done right now, right? Comedy, everybody thought comedy was done, but I have friends in New York and San Francisco and LA. It's just like, look, just go to the houses. And so if you like to hear a certain kind of thing, those comedy houses for the last 2 years have been packed. Okay. So we got annihilated in mainstream, but then these places were packed. Now, just from public, it kind of like festered and boiled, and now it's coming back again. So it takes time, basically, at the end of the day. Dominique.
Well, my main thing is just to let teens know that what we're encouraging here is dialogue, and we are encouraging sensitivity, but we also want to embrace our history so that we have teaching moments.
Yes. You can't, and the reason is, guys, if we don't embrace the history, as ugly as it can be, like if you read this book on the Osage murders, it's a brutal book. Okay, but it's not a book that should not have been told. It's not history that shouldn't, because why? So this way we don't go back there and do it again. Right. I mean, that's why we need to discuss it and learn it. Yeah, it's ugly. Ooh, I don't want to touch it, but you can't wipe it out. Really fast, we have got to go. But my oldest went to Europe, and he went to go visit Auschwitz. And the tour guide said that this whole thing was propaganda and it never happened. Okay. So that was 2 years ago. And I said, Joe, please tell me you don't believe that. He goes, no, but that's what the kids are learning in school. Okay. They're erasing history. And that's why I want to stand on that. But listen, we've got a lot of shows. Stay here. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Streets of Brazil, back in the USSR, way down in LA, every day, dancing in the street, crossing China too, me and you, dancing in the street.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m. We're back. We've got a minute left. I just want to go around the room. A big, heavy show. Start with Dominique. You got like 10 seconds, Dee. Let's just do a little recap.
Thank you for the playfulness and the vulnerability.
Nice. Don, quickie.
Connect, engage, connect, engage.
Nice. Richard Dugan, our producer, he's always got something wonderful to say.
To my late father, be happy, and we'll be listening.
Nice. Christine Marie.
Play, play, play. Have fun.
Nice. Alex.
Stay creative and fit. Let's keep your creativity.
Nice. Dr. Amy.
And I'm going to play on Dawn's and say connect with respect.
Oh, I love that. That's really good. Santa Barbara, we've got some weather. Somebody just mentioned this next week, stay dry. Stick with your principles. Most importantly, stay with your heart. God bless you all. See you next week.
I'm unstoppable.